ever experienced overtrading? If you have, what I want you to do is take a look at it. Let's really examine overtrading today. The first thing is that I want you to notice is there's an urgency that overwhelms your psychology that knows better, okay? That's the first place. Let's start there and say, how does all this happen? Let me give you an example. I want you to imagine watching someone overtrade. You're sitting there and you've brought your charts up, you've got your plan, you know what you're doing, you're going to stick to that plan, you promise. And then what happens is all of a sudden you're looking at these charts and nothing's happening there, and you're sitting, and you're sitting, boring. And in the past, you may have had victory, you won something, and there's I really want to go in there, I'm ready for this, I'm ready to make some money. Or you may have lost, and there's an urgency for you to make up for those prior losses. That's the setup. That's what I call the primer. You're already primed for hijacking a little ways down the road. So you're sitting there, and all of a sudden it just sits there, and it's nothing's happening. Then something catches your eye. Okay? When it catches your eye, all of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden there's this need to be able to be doing something. You've been sitting there just sitting around, and you feel bored. And all of a sudden you realize, if I get into a trade, if I do something, I'll get out of boredom, that discomfort of that boredom. God forbid that you would be patient, okay? And all of a sudden it starts moving. Before you know it, there's this anticipation. The urgency grows. And before you know it, what you've done is you've started seeing things in those charts that are not in your trading plan. And if you were in a different place, you wouldn't see it that way. But the thing is, you have fallen into the need to escape boredom and the need to find some excitement. You know, to get in that trade, to be in there, you don't have to sit with that boredom. That anticipation of excitement builds. This is where it's euphoria. And you're actually falling into something called overconfidence. You start seeing things that aren't there. And before you know it, it's building, you don't see it. And then you hear this voice inside your head, this, take it, it's there, take it. It may not be in your trading plan, but the thing is, by now, that trading plan's gone. It's been taken over by this, an escape from boredom. Oh my gosh, I can get excited, I can be doing something, and I've got to be doing something to make money, right? I've got to be doing something to be trading. And we all know that patience is the biggest doing that you have in successful trading. But that's blown out. That requires a calm mind. So you jump in. All of a sudden, the big one happens. It cranks. And before you know it, the urgency to act, to take advantage of a perceived situation, has totally taken over. What you've done is you have activated the reward systems of the brain. Dopamine starts flowing, most likely, okay? It's dopamine rather than something like a calmer state that comes with other different reward systems. But you've got the dopamine, it's building. And all of a sudden the urgency, and you've jumped in. It's all gone by that time. Now, what has just happened here? What I want you to notice is that in truth, that the biology of emotion is interwoven with the psychology of mind. They totally are dependent upon one another. And what you've done in this process, anticipation, you have ramped up the need to act, to escape boredom, to jump in and make excitement happen, to go hunting, to stalk, to chase, okay? Primitive caveman type stuff has totally overwhelmed the thinking brain. Totally. And you're sitting there and you're going, well, what just happened? Well, in that need to escape the discomfort of boredom, which is something that every trader to become successful is going to have to figure out how to get beyond. Because trading is a game of waiting for opportunity to come to you, not making things happen. And all of a sudden you're reversing that, you're going back to your caveman ancestors, and you're trying to make something happen. Okay? This is where alphas successful in business and corporate come into trading and blow up accounts? Over trading. They're escaping from boredom, they're making things happen, and they're blowing themselves up. That's not the way the primitive caveman would have seen it, but that's the way modern happens, because that ancient caveman was trying to survive in the moment. The modern trader is trying to manage probability. Big deal. So the key is, you begin to see it and you go, what's actually going in here? What happens to me? Well, the truth is you have been blind to what you can't see. You're blind to the impact emotions are having on mind. And the big reality that everyone's going to have to really buy into is that there is no escape from emotion, okay? You do not get outside of emotion. However, with training, you can develop the capacity of managing emotion, freedom of emotion. And in here, the trader, and this is an example I took from just simply last week, a guy I was working with. Here, he's triggered, doesn't know it, he doesn't see that urgency, and ultimately what he's trying to do is get out of the discomfort of boring. He wants to if I'm doing that, I'm listening to thoughts running in my head. Is this some hard idea? You're stupid, you'll never get it. All that stuff from what I call the inner critic. To jump into action gets out of that. But what it also does, it leaves you barren in the ability to self-master yourself. When you feel that discomfort of boredom, you need to be turning to it in courage and facing that demon within the self and mastering it, not escaping from it. It ends up in overtrading. And that dopamine from the excitement ramps up. The unfortunate problem is that it's the reward chemistry that builds habits. This is a connection between emotion and cognition here. And you're getting it and going, oh, by getting excited, I'm getting a dopamine rush. What that's doing is cementing the overtrading habit. That habit is not psychological originally, it is biological, driven by that dopamine reward system. That's what you have to learn to master. And in doing that, how do you start? How do you start stopping that urgency to get into a trade, to overtrade? Friends, it starts with observing the self and really observing the body as you move into particular moments. Like the guy that we were actually debriefing, this guy who had overtraded, and ultimately what we really discovered is that as it appeared, the boredom appeared, he wanted to avoid that boredom. Now, this is not on a psychological level. He had no idea what was going on. On a biological level, that neurobiology of the brain, it wanted to get out of the boredom, the discomfort, because he didn't want to see the discomfort. He didn't know there was anything below that discomfort, but there was. And what's below that discomfort of boredom is the belief about what you're projecting onto the markets, the beliefs literally about your capacity to manage uncertainty. This guy's coming fully loaded with wanting to make money. A really great trader is not trying to make money. He's trying to perform well in the moment. Making money, winning or losing, are simply parts of probability. That's what the overtrader doesn't know. He thinks he's making reality, when in fact he's stepping into an ambush. And the way you start, friends, is with breath. Breath, as part of your biology, is also part of an emotional signature. And you start observing, going, what is it actually happening in my boredom and my need to get out of it? What you're going to see is you're going to see the triggering of that discomfort. In the body is tension, and in the breath is the way you breathe. You might be holding your breath, or you might all are fueling the fight-flight response, overtrading, stalking, aggression. And at the same time, what you needed desperately to be is to be pulling back, noticing that, calming the body down, moving back into patience, waiting to see what the markets are going to give you. This becomes psychology. Okay, we call it fear of missing out, overtrading, but it's really from the biology we bring from our deep history with cavemen that need to act right then. Okay? to make the prey happen and to get out of boredom because, oh my gosh, if I'm sitting there and nothing's happening, maybe something's trying to get me. That belief system that you project onto the screen. Because most people who overtrade have equated money with the meaning they bring in life. That's a bad mastery there. The thing is that if you have money in charge of how you feel about yourself, you're going to have a difficult time trading successfully. So understand, we went through the sequence of overtrading, and what I want you to see is it started with that boredom, and it also started with whether or not you had won or lost, trying to make up for losses or trying to improve it. I'm on a roll, I'm going. And noticing the euphoria kick in, or the need to escape discomfort, the boredom, and all of a sudden you've pushed yourself into an emotional state that no longer makes your psychology fit to trade. That's overtrading. And the deal is, how do you master the urgency of overtrading? Start with breath, move on to observation, and build the mind that can trade. Learn more. Go to the website, take a look at the stuff, and really see how the mind can be built for trading. We call it the trading mind, the intentional mind. Come and see, friends. Thank you for your time, and have a great, great trading day.